I'm Liyana Hassanel and this is Nightline, news making the headlines. AGC files appeal over Tan Sri Muhyiddin's discharge acquittal. And EPF's total investment income surges almost 40% in first 6 months. Good morning. Former Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin was discharged and acquitted on all 4 abuse of power charges linked to the Jana Wibawa program by the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Tuesday. Judge Datuk Muhammad Jamil Hussein struck out the case after finding that all the charges were defective and in bad faith. In his brief judgment, Datuk Muhammad Jamil said the court found that Tan Sri Muhyiddin was accused of an offence that was not provided for under the law. He also said the 4 charges were flawed because they did not disclose any offence under Section 23(1) of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act, which was an injustice. He added the 4 charges also did not contain the details of how the offences were committed, as stipulated under Section 154 of the Criminal Procedure Code. The judge further said that the court disagreed with the Deputy Public Prosecutor that there was no need to state in the charges how the applicant had used his position, as it can be proven through evidence during the trial. On April 19th, Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who was also Perikatan Nasional chairman, applied for the court to annul the charges and acquit him. The Pagoh MP was charged with abusing his power as Prime Minister between February 8th and August 20th, 2021, in connection with the Jana Wibawa program by seeking to obtain 232.5 million ringgit as bribes for Bersatu. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's Chambers, AGC, has confirmed that the prosecution has filed an appeal against the High Court's decision, which acquitted and discharged Tan Sri Muhyiddin of 4 charges of using his position to solicit bribes amounting to 232.5 million ringgit for his party Bersatu. In a statement, Attorney General Tan Sri Idrus Harun said the appeal was filed on Tuesday. He also pointed out that 3 other charges against the Bersatu president under the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act still stand. The case mentioned is set for September 19th at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court. For the 3 other charges, Tan Sri Muhyiddin was accused of receiving proceeds from unlawful activities amounting to 200 million ringgit between February 25th, 2021 and July 8th last year. In other news, police confirmed that they have received a request from the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, to list Tan Sri Muhyiddin's son-in-law, Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan Berhan, on Interpol's Red Notice. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said the application to track down the 48-year-old businessman who allegedly fled the country was received verbally from the MACC.
Red notice ini akan sampai juga kepada kita, insyaAllah. Kalau ada oleh SPRM, walau bagaimana pun kita memang bekerjasama dengan dia. Sekiranya kita ada maklumat, kita akan maklumkan kepada pihak SPRM.
He said this to the media after the handing over ceremony of the new Criminal Investigation Department Director at Bukit Aman on Tuesday. On August 9th, MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki reportedly said that the MACC would request the police to include the names of 2 individuals, including Tan Sri Muhyiddin's son-in-law, on the Interpol Red Notice list if they fail to face prosecution. Both Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan and 69-year-old lawyer Mansur Saad were required to appear before the graft buster for questioning over alleged corruption and embezzlement in the registration, recruitment and biometric storage of foreign workers in a ministry. The Employees Provident Fund, EPF, recorded a total investment income of 33.19 billion ringgit for the first half of 2023, an increase of 9.44 billion ringgit compared with the corresponding period in 2022. Out of the total investment income, 4.79 billion ringgit was generated from mark-to-market MTM gains in securities that had not been realized. The performance of global equity markets in the first half was also positive, led by a run-up in developed markets, notably in the US, which continued to show resilience despite the rise in interest rates. Meanwhile, the EPF's total investment income for the second quarter stood at 18.03 billion ringgit, up 9.05 billion ringgit from the same quarter last year. Equity investments continued to be the main contributor of income at 9.6 billion ringgit. EPF investment assets have also widened to 1.08 trillion ringgit, with 38.6% were invested in overseas investments. Meranti Assemblyman Datuk Muhammad Nasruddin Daud was sworn in as the 19th Kelantan Menteri Besar on Tuesday. Also sworn in at his deputy was Temangan Assemblyman Datuk Dr. Muhammad Fazil Hassan. 58-year-old Datuk Muhammad Nasruddin took his oath of office, followed by Datuk Dr. Muhammad Fazli, before the Sultan of Kelantan, Sultan Muhammad V at Istana Negeri, Kubang Kerian at 5:30 p.m. Datuk Muhammad Nasruddin, who is also Kelantan PAS Information Chief, has held the Meranti state seat for 7 consecutive terms, since winning it in the 9th general election in 1995. While 55-year-old Datuk Muhammad Fazli, who is State Deputy PAS Commissioner III, has served as Temangan Assemblyman since winning the seat in the 12th general election. The duo were nominated by PAS for the post following Perikatan Nasional's landslide win in Saturday's state election. At the ceremony, 9 assemblymen, 8 from PAS and 1 from Bersatu, were also sworn in as state executive councillors. Meanwhile, PAS Vice President Datuk Sri Ahmad Samsuri Mokhtar was sworn in as the Terengganu Menteri Besar for the second term on Tuesday. The 53-year-old Ru Rendang Assemblyman took his oath of office before the Sultan of Terengganu, Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin, at Istana Syarkiah in Chendering at 3:18 p.m. Datuk Sri Ahmad Samsuri, who was first appointed as Menteri Besar in 2018, was reappointed to lead the state government after the alliance of PAS and Bersatu made a clean sweep of all the 32 seats in the state polls last Saturday. At the ceremony, 10 elected assemblymen, including 1 representative from Bersatu, were also sworn in as the new state executive councillors. Among them were 4 new faces, namely Kijal Assemblyman Datuk Razali Idris, Batu Bodoh Assemblyman Muhammad Khalil Abdul Hadi, Ajul Assemblyman Maliaman Kasim, and Tepoh Assemblyman Hishamuddin Abdul Karim. With the appointments, the new lineup of state government leaders will begin their duties at Wisma Darul Iman on Wednesday.
Pada masa itu dengan hujannya, dengan petirnya.
3 pelajar terbunuh manakala 16 lagi di kuarter Malaysia tertimbus.
Ada mangsa yang tersepit.
Kerana yang terlibat ini adalah kanak-kanak. Jadi sedih sebab kita melihat.
Fail Mahkamah, Rabu 9 malam di TV3 dan stream secara HD di Tonton.
This week on Money Matters, we'll talk about the key elements of a successful economy, how to position itself as one of the 30 economic powerhouses by setting the right tone towards building a better Malaysia. Join us with Khazanah National's Managing Director, Dato' Amirul Faisal Wan Zahir, this Saturday, 5 p.m. on TV3 and live HD stream on Tonton.
The subsidy of 300 ringgit for the purchase of flight tickets for public university students was implemented on Tuesday. The initiative is for domestic routes only between Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan Federal Territory. In a statement on Tuesday, the Transport Ministry said public university students can check their qualifications through the ministry's website to find out if they are eligible to apply for the subsidy assistance to purchase flight tickets from the participating airlines. The ministry added that those who did not meet the criteria can appeal to the Higher Education Ministry through their respective universities. The eligible airlines for the ticket subsidy include Malaysia Airlines, Air Asia, Batik Air and My Airline. Approved students will receive 300 ringgit digital vouchers for flight ticket purchases, with the remaining credit also available for future use. The flight subsidy voucher redemption is valid until December 31st this year, while flights can be scheduled beyond that date. Blanket petrol subsidies have been around for decades, benefiting both the rich and the poor. The government is now exploring ways to ensure subsidized petrol is given only to those in need. FMT's Natasha Bust looks into how this can be done.
Petrol in Malaysia is among the cheapest in the world, and a key reason for this is government subsidies. In Malaysia, we pay 2 ringgit 5 cent per litre for RON 95. But this cheap petrol comes at a hefty price. In 2022, the government spent 42 billion ringgit on fuel subsidies. That's enough money to buy 140,000 affordable homes priced at 300,000 ringgit each. But was that money well spent? Economist Jeffrey Williams thinks not.
The biggest problem with the petrol subsidy is the biggest chunk of it is going to the T20 group. That's the biggest problem.
This is why the government is eager to roll out targeted subsidies. It's all about ensuring the subsidies benefit those who need them the most. But doing this is easier said than done, and there are differing views over the best way to implement targeted subsidies.
What we believe is the best way to implement is to give the cash directly to those in need. So by giving the cash, they get the money up front, and then they will buy fuel using that cash first. And beyond that, then they pay at the full price. So that's the best way that we can think of lah.
On the other hand, Williams suggests a tiered pricing mechanism.
So the solution, as far as I can see it, for petrol is the same solution as we have for electricity. In electricity, the more electricity you use, the more expensive it gets as you go up the tiers. And that's called tiered pricing. And we can do exactly the same thing for petrol.
Several other options have been proposed, including a mechanism similar to MySejahtera and identifying recipients based on their income levels.
The government is expected to announce details on targeted subsidies when it tables the national budget in October. Will we finally see targeted fuel subsidies this year? Only time will tell, but in the meantime, the subsidy bill will continue to rise. Natasha Bust, FMT for Nightline.
Thousands urged to seek safety as Typhoon land hits Japan. News from the foreign front when we return. Thailand's election-winning Move Forward Party, MFP, on Tuesday said it will not back former alliance partner Pheu Thai's candidate in a parliamentary vote on the next Prime Minister. MFP Secretary General Chaitawat Tulaton said the party's lawmakers were unanimous in opposing the bid, as the formation of government now is not reflective of the people's voice. The decision by MFP, which has the most seats in Parliament, could complicate efforts by political heavyweight Phua Thai to get the required support to form a government and prolong weeks of political deadlock. Despite abandoning MFP earlier this month, second-placed Phua Thai has sought its backing for former real estate tycoon and political newcomer Srettha Thavisin to become premier. Thailand has been under a caretaker government for the past 5 months, and the next parliamentary vote on a prime minister has yet to be scheduled. Indonesia's counter-terrorism unit on Tuesday announced the arrest of an alleged Daesh loyalist suspected of planning an attack on the headquarters of the police's security division. According to Indonesia's Densus 88 counter-terrorism task force, the man was detained in a raid on his house outside the capital, Jakarta, on Monday, during which a Daesh flag, ammunition and 16 weapons were discovered, mostly handguns and modified air rifles. The suspect, an employee with a state railway company, told authorities of his plan to attack the police facility, but gave no time frame or motive. Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim-majority nation, suffered its worst militant attack in 2002, when 2 nightclubs on the island of Bali were bombed, killing 202 people, mostly foreign tourists. Over in Russia, at least 35 people were killed and more than 100 injured after an explosion erupted at a petrol station in the southern region of Dagestan. Officials said the fire started at an auto repair shop in Makachakla on Monday night before spreading to a nearby petrol station and caused blasts. A total of 105 people were injured after the fire spread over an area of approximately 600 square meters. It was believed that the criminal case has been opened to establish the circumstances leading up to the incident. Nearly 900 flights in Japan were cancelled and 240,000 people were ordered to move to safety as a slow-moving typhoon made landfall early on Tuesday, cutting off power to tens of thousands of homes. Typhoon Lan, approaching from the Pacific Ocean, made landfall at the southern tip of Wakayama Prefecture, some 400 kilometers southwest of Tokyo, lashing much of central and western Japan with heavy rain and powerful winds. As well as the disruption to flights, the dangerous rain and wind forced the closure of some roads and the suspension of dozens of train services. Over the next 24 hours, the central Tokai region was expected to get about 350 millimeters of rain, nearly 3 times the average rainfall for the month of August. Donald Trump on Tuesday was indicted on charges of racketeering and a string of election crimes after a sprawling 2-year probe into his efforts to overturn his 2020 defeat to Joe Biden in the U.S. state of Georgia. The former U.S. president was charged with 13 felony counts, compounding the legal threats he is facing in multiple jurisdictions, as a firestorm of investigations imperils his bid for a second White House term. 18 co-defendants were also indicted in the probe, including Trump's former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and Trump's White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. According to county prosecutor, Trump and his co-defendants had until noon on August 25th to voluntarily surrender to authorities. With Trump already due to go on trial in 4 other states, the latest charges herald the unprecedented scenario of the 2024 presidential election being litigated as much from the courtroom as the ballot box. editions from the Primera Liga. Sports after this breather. Benfica got their title defence off to an inauspicious start on Monday when they suffered a stunning 3-2 defeat at Boa Vista, the winner coming in the 114th minute. Benfica took the lead in the 23rd minute through Angel Di Maria. But after Petar Musa was shown a straight red card by referee Antonio Nobri for dangerous tackle on Boa Vista's Rodrigo Barros early in the second half, the game changed completely. Robert Bozanic equalized in the 55th minute before Rafa Silva restored Benfica's advantage on 75th minute. But there was more drama to come. Antonio Silva's poor challenge on Heriel De Santis 2 minutes from time resulted in a penalty, and Bruno Lourenço made it 2-2 from the spot. Then in the 14th minute of stoppage time, Benfica lost the ball in the Boa Vista half. Possession was quickly recycled to Bozanic, and he took full advantage of a one-on-one chance with Benfica goalkeeper Odysseas Vlachodimos. In another match, Porto came from a goal down to beat Moreirense 2-1. Gottfried Frimpong gave the home side a merited lead after 51 minutes only for Tony Martinez to haul Porto level 16 minutes later. Porto defender Wendell calmly placed a shot past homekeeper Kiwin for the winner 7 minutes later, but was shown a second yellow card in stoppage time for a foul on Madsen. Porto held on, however, to get their Primera Liga campaign up and running. More to come. 7 boys remanded over assault of 15-year-old boy. Don't go away. Welcome back. In Johor, a man has been remanded for 5 days from Tuesday by the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court for allegedly abusing his ex-girlfriend's daughter in Kempas. The remand against the 29-year-old suspect was issued by Magistrate Arsalini to facilitate investigations into the case under the Child Act. Earlier, Johor Police Chief Datuk Kamarul Zaman Mamat reportedly said the victim's 25-year-old mother lodged a police report over the incident on Monday. The suspect was arrested on the same day. The 6-year-old girl had been brought to Sultanah Aminah Hospital for treatment after she had suffered physical injuries to the lips and face, believed to have been inflicted by the suspect. It was also believed that the physical abuse occurred in a house in Kampung Sinaran Baru. Meanwhile, in the same courtroom, 7 students, including a foreigner aged 14 to 17, were remanded for 2 days from Tuesday for allegedly assaulting a 15-year-old boy at a playground in Taman Bestari Indah in Iskandar Putri. South Johor Bahru Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Raub Salamat said the suspects were detained following 6 raids conducted in housing estates in the district. The arrests were following a police report lodged by the victim at about 4 p.m. on Monday, after a video of the assault went viral on social media. In the 59-second footage, several boys were seen taking turns kicking and hitting another boy, who was curled up on the ground while the person recording the incident cheered them on. Based on initial investigation, the incident occurred on August 9th due to jealousy, as one of the assailants was not satisfied with the victim for befriending his girlfriend. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for rioting. In Kedah, a 17-year-old boy was charged at the Kulim Magistrates Court on Tuesday with the murder of his elder brother last week. No plea was recorded from the accused, whose identity was being withheld for being a minor, when the charge was read to him before Magistrate Bisri Pracha Nantini. The teenager was charged with murdering the 23-year-old victim by stabbing the latter right at his heart at their home in Taman Mahkota Kulim on August 7th. The offence under the Penal Code carries the death penalty upon conviction. The court then fixed September 26th for mention, pending a post-mortem report. No bail was offered to the accused, as murder is a non-bailable offence. Meanwhile, his other elder sibling was fined 1,500 ringgit by the same court after he pleaded guilty to a charge of lodging a false police report over the victim's death. The magistrate meted out the penalty after the accused admitted to lodging a false police report that the deceased had died after falling in a goat pen. He had lodged the false report at the Kulim police station with the intention to cover up for his underage brother. The charge under the Penal Code provides up to 6 months jail or maximum 2,000 ringgit fine, or both upon conviction. In Pulau Pinang, police uncovered an illegal heroin processing laboratory and seized an assortment of drugs worth 200,000 ringgit in 2 simultaneous raids in Seberang Perai on Monday. 3 local men aged between 27 and 37 were also arrested during the 4:35 p.m. operation. State Police Chief Datuk Kau Kok Chin said one of the suspects was nabbed at a 2-story house in Simpang Ampat, while the rest were nabbed at another house in Bukit Mertajam. Based on initial investigations, the syndicate was using the 2-story house, which had only been rented for 2 months, as a drug lab to process heroin for the local market. During the operation, authorities also seized 13.5 kilograms of heroin worth nearly 185,000 ringgit, 230 sticks of cigarettes laced with mushroom drugs, over 4.2 kilograms of caffeine, 6 vehicles, jewelry, as well as drug processing equipment and precursors. The 3 men tested negative for drugs, but 2 of them had previous criminal and drug-related records. All those detained have been remanded for 7 days to facilitate investigations under the Dangerous Drug Act. Nightline draws to a close this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look at the small Lebanese village of Rashaya Al-Fakhar, which takes its name from the artisanal pottery workshops for which it is famous. I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and have a good day ahead.